Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and we are getting super close to Diablo 4 being officially released to the world. Finally, a new Diablo release coming to the PC since Diablo 3 over a decade ago. So I thought it would be fun to get a tier list discussion out here on the channel. You're going to see a lot of creators giving their thoughts and doing tier lists and stuff. So I thought, why not give you my opinions as we lead up close to the release. I've tried out lots of the classes. I've played like over 60 hours of the different beta iterations. I've had deep discussions with all sorts of different content creators and top players in the community to get their experiences, what they think compared to me, and what we've all been testing behind the scenes and all of that. So I'm going to talk about what I kind of expect the tier list to be here for the first kind of pre-season leading up to the release of Diablo 4 and this first initial leveling process and all of that. Let's get into it. Alrighty, so you know the drill by now. All of the normal caveats apply. This is going to be entertainment, opinion. None of us have played enough to get to like the end game and test every single avenue of the game for hundreds of hours on end to perfectly theory craft everything. So this is going to be more of a prediction of what I expect the first few weeks to look like as people are trying to level up throughout the game, play the campaign, which is going to be like to beat the campaign is probably going to be somewhere between like 25 and 50 hours, depending on the level of player and the experience they have within the ARPG genre and how adept they are at kind of like leveling in these kind of games quickly. And then it's probably going to take, I mean, to get to level 100 is going to be quite the grind. It's going to be a little bit closer to the Diablo 2 experience for leveling as opposed to the Diablo 3 experience in leveling, where you get to max level in like an hour and a half, and then you're just grinding Paragon infinitely. The leveling experience in Diablo 4 is going to be a lot longer, a lot more of a grind. And we've got our different tiers. There is a class that I think for the release in its current state right now, there is one class that is just above and beyond everyone else, in my opinion. So we've got the OP tier. That's going to be just that one class. And then we've got the A, B, C, and then F if something is just absolutely terrible within the grand scheme of the game. And I'm just going to go left to right in the order that you see the icons over there on the left side, which means first up we have got the Barbarian. Now the Barbarian, obviously an iconic class in all games like Diablo, your hack and slash, your melee, sword and board, the run in there, brawler, double axe wielding, just get in there and kill stuff. So gonna be a very popular pick, especially for new people to the Diablo experience. And right now, you know, I've got to go C for leveling up. Melee is just going to feel a little bit more clunky until you're really optimized, you're really endgame, and your build is really shining. Not that you shouldn't play the Barbarian or any other class that I put a little bit lower. The most important thing is to have fun and enjoy the game, but I have to grade them on some sort of scale. It's not to say that the Barb doesn't have things that can be cool. You know, some different like Thorns builds and Whirlwind, an iconic choice, obviously. So we're not going to go F tier or anything, but compared to some of the options in game right now and how they're performing during the leveling process compared to the Barbarian, I'm going to go with a C as of right now. And then next we have got the Druid. Now my good friend DM Diablo Immortal Darth Micro, he's going to be maining the Druid. He's all in and he's excited to play the Druid. The shape shifting and summoning the different companions and stuff are going to be using the elements of the earth and stuff, going to be the foundation of the Druid. Definitely a fun class, a well-designed class, but unfortunately right now I'm going to go with a C tier because again, it's going to have a little bit more of the clunkiness that the Barbarian is going to deal with. It's going to be hard for the Druid to zip around the battlefield and do a ton of damage, and some of the stuff seems to be hitting a little bit too low as we level up a little bit. So we're going to go with a C right now for the Druid. Next is going to be the Necromancer. Necromancer, famously known for the summoning and the army of skeletons, the mages, using the golems and all sorts of different bone mechanics of shooting bone spears or casting prisons and all of that. Super fun class, and I'm glad they have it here on launch. It's a very iconic Diablo class in Diablo 2 and Diablo 3, and now in Diablo 4, Diablo Immortal. The Necro is always a very popular fan favorite. And you know, it's I want to go like B or A. The problem is that the minions are not that great in, like, I don't think they're going to be that great in like PvP or in boss fights. It can get a little bit frustrating. Really, the only fights that are difficult are the boss fights, and I think we need a little bit more mechanics to, but they did adjust them after the server slam. So the Necro, it's like in between A and B. You know, I might go A, just because the minions do provide you a lot of utility and tankiness to soak up a lot of aggro, and you can do things like farm events lazy, like just kind of stand there and keep your skeletons up and let them kind of kill everything for you. So I think it will be a fun experience for a lot of players. So I'm gonna go A. I can't quite go like OP tier. Unfortunately, there's one class that is just completely obliterating everything else right now, in my opinion. Maybe you'll disagree with me, so I can't go the top tier, but I think Necromancer is in a solid state. Which brings us up next to the Rogue. Now, Rogue is just crazy right now. I'll keep it short and sweet. We're gonna put Rogue in the OP tier. Rogue has lots of mobility, lots of different playstyle options. It cranks out a lot of damage. In all of the testing that I've done with different friends and content creators and stuff, the Rogue is just completely obliterating everything else. In the polling that we did over on the community tab of this channel, Rogue was the most popular choice, and I think among like the try-hard, experienced Diablo 4 players, the Rogue is probably going to be the most popular choice, and it's going to really shine for this iteration of the pre-season of Diablo 4. So if you were to ask me, like, hey, Chosen, what's the safest pick for me to make sure that I've got the highest chance of having a build that performs well and I'm not left behind by the meta or feeling bad about my pick because I don't really care what class I play? Honestly, I would probably say just go with the Rogue and crank out the damage and learn how to play it well, because then you will be just insane during the leveling process. Which brings us lastly to the Sorcerer, which is probably what I'm going to be maining. I'm like 80 to 85% sure I'm going to be maining the Sorcerer on the preseason launch of the game globally. And I'm going to put Sorcerer solid at number 2 in the A tier, right above Necro and right behind the Rogue. Again, the Sorcerer is just going to be consistent. Leveling is super fun with like Chain Lightning. It is a skill shot, but you hit something, Chain Lightning kind of bounces everywhere. You've got your Hydras. If you end up getting lucky enough to find the aspect that gives you 2 Hydras, the fire build can be a lot of fun. Really good for boss fights. You just kind of run in circles and make sure you've got your 2 Hydras down and keep your burns up on the boss, and it makes the boss fights really easy, and you can just run circles around the boss and get it killed slowly if you're willing to take your time. So I do like that, and it has lots of different kind of options and play styles. We've seen the cold build kind of rise up and also perform well with proccing the vulnerables and ricocheting between different targets with the shards and stuff. So Sorcerer is definitely going to be a strong choice, and similar to the Rogue, if you're just looking for something that's going to be consistent and allow you to crank out a decent amount of damage and have a decent amount of options available to you with the burns and the freeze builds and the Hydras and the Chain Lightning and the glass cannon passive that buffs your damage, and having teleport for mobility later on when you can kind of lower the cooldowns and stuff, Sorcerer going to be a great choice as well. So right now I would have it as Rogue, solidly number 1 in my opinion, placed up in the OP tier, and then I would have the Sorcerer and the Necro as the solidified 2 and 3 spot. And then I think definitively right now I'm gonna go with Barbarian and Druid in the 4 and 5 spot. You can argue between 4 and 5, like this could flop either way. It doesn't really matter, but they're gonna be in that 3rd tier where you have like the Rogue in the top tier, the Sorcerer and the Necro in the middle tier, and then the Druid and the Barb in whatever order you want to put them down there in that bottom tier as of right now. But let me say it for a second time. This is the preseason. There isn't going to be like leaderboards or anything crazy going on. So enjoy the campaign. It's a cool story and it's got some fun lore behind it, some awesome cutscenes. Enjoy the leveling process. We only get a release like this every so often in our lives. So if a class is calling out to you, pick the Druid, pick the Barbarian, pick the Rogue, whatever you think is going to be the most fun for you to play. Go ahead and do that. This is just a fun discussion of, if you want to break it down to like the try hard level, what I think it right now, as of today, my opinion is, as far as a tier list ranking all of the classes in this kind of preseason leveling experience. And then as we head into season 1, we'll probably be getting some balance changes and maybe even a new feature or two, something game changing to spice things up. And then when we dive into that first season, it'll be really crazy, and things will hopefully get really shaken up at that point. But I'm excited for release. I'm gonna be playing it a lot and covering it here for you on a daily basis on the channel. So remember to subscribe down below if you enjoy daily Diablo 4 content, and I will see you on launch. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.